Images have surfaced of a billionaire truce chaired by the governor of Kano State in Nigeria. Governor Ganduje was photographed with Alhaji Aliko Dangote, founder and chairman of the Dangote Group of Companies, alongside Alhaji Abdul Rabiu, chairman of the BOA Group. Also featured were businessman and philanthropist Aminu Dantata and members of Kano royalty. Very, very interesting. Ikemesit Effiong, head of research at SBM Intelligence, joins us now, not just to discuss the truce, but much, much more with respect to, well, part of the reasons why these billionaires have been rivals for quite a while. Ikemesit, you're very welcome. Good morning. SBM Intelligence, you folks focus a lot on security around Africa because you like to see peace. So in the interest of peace, what do you make of the Billionaire Truce Summit between the heads of Dangote Group and BOA?
Good morning, Reuters. As much peace as we can get, we'll take it. We'll take it. I think it was very important, right, that these operators, right, in this very important segment of our agribusiness space, right, were able to come together and cooler heads could prevail. So I'll take that peace truce and many more, including, of course, in hard security stuff. Yeah.
All right, great stuff. These two giants have a rivalry in cement, sugar. I'd like for us to focus on sugar. Is the competition between flour mills of Nigeria, Dangote Sugar, BOA, healthy for the sugar sector?
Of course it is. I mean, all competition is healthy as long as it's properly moderated, right, by the regulators. You have a situation, right, in sugar, which you don't find, right, in many other products, where the competition is healthy enough that it is reflective, right, in the end retail prices of sugar. You can't make that argument for many other products in many other sectors here in Nigeria. And so, yes, competition is very, very healthy. The sugar industry obviously has a master plan, right, which superintends and generally governs the behavior of operators and actors in that space, and hitherto, right, regulatory behavior has mostly been good. What you saw with the recent friction between those two big operators was actually a reflection of that competitive spirit and that competitive appetite, right? And I think, subject to proper and coordinated regulatory oversight, it's a good thing on the whole.
Great stuff, great stuff. All right, so Ikemesit, why don't you help us out and break down the Nigerian Sugar Master Plan for us? How have these players executed on the goals of the Sugar Master Plan?
Okay, so basically, for those who aren't familiar, just as it's at its lowest common denominator, the Nigerian Sugar Master Plan, right, provides for quotas and priority areas in order to deepen, right, the backward integration of the sugar industry, which is basically, an economic term of usage to say that operators are being encouraged to own all the levers and all, the various segments, right, of production within the sugar industry in order to deepen domestic sugar production, to be able to adequately serve the domestic market, not just on the retail side, because I know a lot of times people think about sugar within the, in terms of breakfast and, what shows up on your dining table, but there's a big commercial sector to it, all your drinks, from soda to juice, to alcoholic beverages, right, and the entire likes have very significant sugar inputs, right, and so these operators have been encouraged, right, by this master plan. They are issued yearly quotas, right, to deepen their capacity in terms of the production of raw sugarcane as you would know it, and as well as refining that sugar into a product segment which would be useful, not only for the retail market, like I said earlier, but also the commercial market. Up until now, the operators in that space had largely kept to their quota. Some have done, much better than others. There are at least two operators that are pushing on 90% operational capacity, right? But the friction which had occurred, right, in the industry had to do with, what the priority areas are. So there are different priority areas around, raw sugar production and refining. And, there were some operators in the space that thought that, some other players weren't pulling, their weight, right, in terms of meeting up with their refining with their refining commitments under the Sugar Master Plan. And for them, the concern was, this would warp incentives. For people who are already doing well, they would want to do a lot more and do a lot better. But, the Sugar Master Plan is managed under a way that operators aren't allowed to pull so far ahead of the competition, right? That a single operator achieves market dominance or something close to a monopoly, right? So all the operators have a vested interest in seeing the entire master plan and their competitors work. And the meeting in Kano and all of the matters arising that led to that meeting in Kano were an effort in ensuring that all the operators are on the same page in terms of meeting their regulatory commitments and having the regulators also appropriately supervise them.
Great stuff. Perfect. I like where you landed there because speaking of the regulator and the back and forth you've mentioned recently about rules not being followed with respect to the master plan, is there more that can be done on the part of the regulator to see this through?
Yes, indeed, right. So the regulator, right, in this space needs to come out and provide absolute clarity in terms of ensuring that operators meet their commitments, right, under the National Sugar Master Plan. This is, right, a plan which was made in conjunction with operators. There was significant buy-in, right, on the commercial side of things. Again, an attitude which you do not see, right, in a lot of other subsectors, right, in the Nigerian economy, right. And so the regulator has to provide that clarity. So whoever isn't meeting up with their quotas, whoever isn't ramping up refining, local refining capacity, right, or whoever is using, right, the regulatory wiggle room that they have, right, to accommodate, right, intents and purposes and business objectives that aren't captured, right, under the master plan, or work in a way that disincentivizes competition in that space. The regulator has to come out and provide that clear, right, that clear oversight and provide, right, clarity in terms of ensuring that all operators meet their commitments, right. That's all that we can ask for operators. That's really, regulation, right, exists to achieve, right. And the regulators they've done a relatively good job. They should continue to keep up with that and ensure that there aren't any slackers or any laggards in this space.
All right, Ikemesit, we've got a couple minutes to go. Earlier this week, Federal Executive Council approved 14 billion naira for about 427 customs vehicles in order for them to aid their mission in securing the borders. Some have said customs are overwhelmed. Some have said NAFDAC is overwhelmed with, the medicinal area with drugs. Some have said the SEC is overwhelmed with reining in Ponzi schemes. Are regulators in Nigeria, do they need more money to execute their mandates? Are they overwhelmed? What do you think?
More money could help solve some of their issues, but I think away from ramping up financial, financial backing, right, for our regulators. We want a situation where, the right kind of regulatory thinking, right, feeds into their regulatory behaviors. Hitherto, Nigerian regulators, right, appear more, more dead set on curbing, right, risk-taking behavior. That's not what you want to see in a developing economy, a growing economy, or, right, an economy that we would like to see growing, right. As Nigeria, you would want regulatory behavior that encourages more risk-taking, that encourages, right, more investors and more investment, right, to come into, those various micro spaces, right. And so away from sort of the financial conversation around, regulators being overwhelmed, you want the right kind of regulatory thinking. And I think we talk about regulatory thinking a lot in Nigeria, like strictly in terms of how regulation can work for foreign investment in order to attract those badly needed dollars and foreign direct investment that we have. But there's something to be said about regulation that works for local players, that works for Nigerian entrepreneurs and Nigerian businesses that are looking to grow and deepen their capacity, right, and broaden, their ability to create economic value in this space. And I think regulators should be acutely attuned to the needs of domestic operators, right, in this space. And I think, that will go, right, a long way in helping. Of course, in the course of having that conversation, right, there's something to be said about deepening and broadening the financial heft, right, of regulators to do their work appropriately, especially in terms of monitoring. I think monitoring is a big thing, right, that needs, better and deeper funding, right, here in Nigeria.
Well said. Ikemesit Effiong, Head of Research at SBM Intelligence. I'll have to bring you back to talk about your Jollof Index. We talked about that yesterday when inflation numbers came out. Ikemesit, thank you so much. Appreciate your insights. Take care.